It's raw.
Raw. What a mess.
When it comes to cooking, some dishes rank high in the difficulty level. One food that is lower on the cooking skill level is steak.
The Matrix is telling my brain that it is juicy and delicious.
Grilling and marinating are about all that are needed for a well-cut piece of beef. Still, some restaurants are utterly deluded by this concept and somehow manage to destroy a beautiful piece of meat. These were the worst steaks ever from Kitchen Nightmares.
They're disgusting. Dry and tasteless.
Flavorless filet fondue.
One of the country's best steaks, deep fried. Are they stupid?
When it comes to seafood, most people don't think fondue. But then, most people don't run the Handlebar in Mount Sinai, New York. Gordon's visit here came with some trepidation. It began with the curious seafood crepes that he dismantled before he ate it. What Chef Ramsay had to say wasn't probably what the chefs had in mind.
The prawns are way overcooked, and the crab meat, it's plastic.
Wow, how disappointing was that?
Seafood crap indeed. After a long, arduous wait, Gordon finally got his filet mignon fondue. A long wait was rather strange for uncooked food, which didn't exactly ease Chef Ramsay.
Filet mignon fondue, which is raw, so why am I waiting so long?
But at last it came, with bubbling oil and all the fixings, and the moment of truth.
Comes out looking like dog food.
It's pretty hard to mess up a good cut of beef that isn't even cooked. But as usual, Gordon hit the nail on the head.
That was rancid, pointless, tasteless, a complete, utter joke.
That is a joke. I get it. It is not funny.
Execution is everything, and at the Handlebar, they missed the mark big time.
Oh my God, what a disaster. Disaster.
Tough break for tough steak.
I can't believe you're telling me my food sucks. I can't believe it. I honestly think you're out of your mind.
The owner of Sabatiello's in Stamford, Connecticut, is a confident man.
My food is good. My food is very good.
While it's good to stand behind your product, it's also important to be honest, especially when it comes to Gordon Ramsay.
All this is fresh, right?
Yes, everything else is fresh. If it's not fresh, we don't sell it.
He's never going to hold back.
That's the wedding soup?
That's to get him in the mood to get married.
Jesus, I'd rather get divorced.
I mean, seriously?
Soup of yesterday and today. It didn't look any better once the homemade lasagna got prepared.
Make sure the lasagna's nice and hot, Manny. I told him it's my homemade lasagna, my signature item, okay?
You can't fool Chef Ramsay, Sammy.
There seems to be something slightly synthetic and plastic inside that tastes absolutely hideous.
Let's see what happened with the main entree, the steak.
It's a tough steak, not seasoned, greasy.
Gordon was having a hard time just cutting through the meat, which didn't even look all that appetizing. Not only that, the steak was greasy. That's pretty difficult to do. Gordon wasn't surprised.
The food is consistent, consistently poor.
Yeah, I know.
And he let this cocky restaurant owner know exactly what he thought.
Then the biggest disappointment was the steak. Who buys the steak? That's the toughest steak I've ever eaten.
In the end, Gordon was unwavering and solid.
It tasted disgusting. Bland, unique.
Gamey over for Mama Rita's steak.
Been in the restaurant and then told what to stay away from the head waiter. Ay, ay, ay.
In Newbury Park, California, Mama Rita's served Mexican food derived from the owner's grandmother.
If Chef Ramsay doesn't like my grandmother's recipes, that concerns me.
Gordon's task at this beautiful hotel was to determine if the food was on par with the decor. But it looked like this owner knew exactly what wasn't working on her menu, even if her dear granny came up with it.
Oh no, God, I hope the tamales are moist.
But she wasn't very nice to her chefs when it came to criticism.
Perla hates them.
Things didn't get better with the chicken chimichanga.
It's dry. It's shards of dry chicken.
All hope lay in the steak burrito.
That is gross. That has to be the biggest ad for any diaper anywhere in California.
Diaper! It's a diaper! It's a diaper! It's a diaper!
To prove a point, Gordon even made the waiter take a bite.
The steak was gamey. It was kind of like a car wash, moist and mushy.
Gamey steak is definitely not easy to do. The owner freaked out and the waiter couldn't even keep it down.
You're garbage.
Now that's a bad steak.
It's really salty. Nobody tasted before we did this?
Giraffe tongue disaster.
What cut of meat was that? Not a very good cut.
Are you proud to serve that food?
An old staple restaurant in Louisiana, Zeke's has a much beloved history. Unfortunately, when new owners bought the restaurant, they made some changes to the menu that were far from love. Gordon ordered a nice array of southern food, including shrimp, which could potentially come right from the sea. But that wasn't what they did at Zeke's.
Where are the shrimps fresh?
They're fresh frozen.
Fresh frozen.
Still, a staple of southern food is the chicken fried steak. Certainly, Zeke's could get this traditional dish right. Right? Nope. This dish was a total disaster. Gordon wanted to know more from the waitress.
Candice, what the hell is that? Looks like it's just had a giraffe's tongue cut out and deep fat fried.
The owner wasn't exactly happy with that response.
I'm not going to agree with that. It didn't look that way to me.
You're missing the point.
Well, you can't win them all.
That's good enough for you to continue. No, you can't be that stupid.
Well done, done wrong.
A master of the grill. I'm telling you, I'm good at this, man. I'm very good at this.
Mike and Nellie's in Oakhurst, New Jersey was a surf and turf family business that used to be outstanding. But when Nellie passed away, Mike took on the full burden of 2 people. The problem found its way into the food. Now, Gordon had to whip Mike and his restaurant into shape, one dish at a time. As always, Gordon began with a generous array of dishes, the first being the surf.
It's bland, it's watery, and shrimps are like rubber.
Rubber, rubber, rubber!
The restaurant didn't hold up to half its promise as a great seafood option. Next came the Murphy chicken.
It's overcooked, just wet, soggy, and just tasteless.
Not good. Could the steak Nellie save the day?
This is the steak Nelly?
Is that a steak or charcoal?
This makes me want to burn the down.
It was not good.
God.
Generally speaking, you don't want charcoal in your steak, and you definitely don't want Gordon Ramsay to spit out your food. Total disaster.
That just tastes of burnt charcoal. I feel like I've got a barbecue in my mouth.
A Greek tragedy.
We used to do everything from scratch. Now the food is sack over here.
Located in a beautiful San Francisco suburb, Saki's Spin-A-Yarn Steakhouse and Seafood was in need of a little help from Chef Ramsay. As always, Gordon got his 3-course meal. Service started with a traditional Greek sampler, which on the surface seemed like a fairly straightforward dish, particularly from a Greek like Saki.
Has that got mashed potatoes in there?
It is canned salmon caviar.
Canned food? Surely Saki would step it up from there.
This is the crab Louis.
Uh-oh. Looks like the crab Louis was canned Louis. A total disgrace for a Northern California restaurant.
Canned crab?
Yeah, I'm surprised.
I'm shocked.
One thing that should never be canned is filet mignon. Maybe a fresh dish would save the day? Teriyaki sauce on filet mignon? Not a good idea.
Looks like a mudslide.
Even worse, the meat was rubbery.
Rubber, rubber, rubber!
Which meant that the problem wasn't that the kitchen was lazy, it was that they weren't able to cook. A big issue for a surf and turf locale. Spin-A-Yarn had a lot of work to do.
OMG. Oh, the food's gross.
Prohibit the Grille.
He absolutely hated these. He thought they were gross. Had absolutely no flavor.
Just outside Seattle, Washington lies the Prohibition Grille. Run by a former belly dancer, Rishi, it was an eclectic place to say the least. When Gordon Ramsay showed up, it became quickly clear that he was in for a unique experience.
Am I coming for lunch or are we having a belly dance?
New girl, what a nice surprise.
And the food situation was just as wacky as Rishi. This place didn't even have a real soup of the day.
The soup of the day is jalapeno corn chowder.
What was it yesterday?
Jalapeno corn chowder. And last week?
Gordon messed with her a little bit.
Can I just let you into a little secret?
Sure.
Soup of the day means a daily changing soup.
I thought that just meant what soup we were serving that day.
Wow.
Let's see how this soup of the week turned out.
Horrible, nasty loop with some sort of dusting around the outside of the plate.
Yeah, not surprising. On to the main course. A filet mignon wrapped in bacon.
Horrible grayness to it. I don't know what he's done. It's almost like the meat's been boiled.
It looked a little gray, which is definitely not normal for a top quality cut of beef. A steakhouse that couldn't cook a steak. Gordon was right. Eating at this place should have been prohibited.
Excellent.
Clueless chef in California.
We have 23 gourmet flavor combinations: beef, chicken, portobello mushroom, or steak.
The food at Italian eatery Sebastian's in Toluca Lake, California was as flat as their pizza pies. Gordon was brought in to help this failing kitchen. It didn't take long to see that the problem had everything to do with this delusional chef.
Working here with Chef Gordon Ramsay, it's like as an actor having Robert De Niro say, you know what?
Look at me.
Gordon had his hands full. Not only was Sebastian the owner and the chef, but he would take a lot of time with the customers too.
Dual serve.
Do I always serve? No, but I do greet and meet every customer that walks in the door.
This guy was way over the top, and all of this showed in the most important part: the food. The picture-guided menu didn't bode well for a great meal in store, and sadly, terrible dish after terrible dish came out.
Can I get you anything? No?
A sick bag.
Including a disgusting New York strip steak.
Everything's under seasoned. Enough canned pet food for today.
Steak should definitely not look like that. Well, maybe he got to take the entree home in a doggy bag. For his dog.
I would love to franchise this and have a Sebastian's all over the world.
Oh my God.
The Secret Garden steak that should remain a secret.
Your steak was tough, and your shoestring potatoes was a big ball of grease.
At the Secret Garden, things needed an update. Gordon came in to see a shabby place that looked old-fashioned with granny doilies tucked under dirty dishes.
You've got all that fancy crap on there, and yet the glass is dirty.
Not a great first impression. Still, Gordon was there to do a job.
A lunch menu and a dinner menu.
And so he persevered, ordering what should have been a hole-in-one, a Roquefort stuffed filet cooked pink. How could it go wrong? But seeing how the cold shrimp were undercooked in a failed simple salad...
Oh, Jesus. That's disgusting.
The steak couldn't possibly be up to snuff. And he was right.
Big, dirty, greasy chip plate.
It's more than about just food, as any great chef knows, and the presentation of the filet resembled some certain body parts.
And like a big, overgrown ball of pubic hair.
Not exactly appetizing. But of course, taste is king, and this steak was not a royal experience.
It's tough as old boots.
Big fail for the Secret Garden.
Nightmare in Grandma's house.
Rocket bottom steak.
It's just absolutely filled with water. Filled with water? I thought I drained it pretty well.
This steakhouse in Music City was not exactly rocking. Chappie's was an antiquated restaurant, and in a foodie place like Nashville, that was a big problem. Chappie's wife brought in Gordon to help breathe new life into their menu.
I think it's too big. I think it needs to be downsized. It's too much.
The need was evident when the strange fried green tomatoes were served, with hollandaise sauce, parmesan, and catfish tails. Next came the chicken gumbo, and it was just gross.
It looks like Chappie took a crappie in my gumbo.
Oh my God, this is the worst.
But the star of the show was the steak and lobster rocket.
That's a very funny looking lobster.
The dish was bizarre, and the steak that was butterflied out like it was lamb, not steak.
He beats the crap out of a filet to tenderize it.
And Gordon hadn't even tasted it yet. Here goes nothing.
Come on.
Yeah, not good.
Steak and lobster rocket. Someone needs rock out of his ass.
These steaks are an abomination to the culinary world. But as always, Gordon saved the day. If you want to see more videos like this, click or tap that subscribe button. And in order to become a trusted Babble Topper, be sure to ding the bell to get notified whenever we upload a new video. Thanks for watching.